Shaquille O'Neal is perhaps the most imposing player in the NBA. In just his third season, he has raised his game to great heights, leading Orlando to the league's best record. And against the elite big men, the 23-year-old giant has stood tall. But there stands one man O'Neal has yet to defeat, David Robinson. They have met 5 times, and while Shaquille has had his moments, it's Robinson who has reigned supreme. 5 meetings, 5 victories. Today, the Admiral leads his troops into Orlando with thoughts of yet another victory over Shaquille. You think Shaq will be ready?
This is the NBA on NBC. Today, it's the San Antonio Spurs versus the Orlando Magic.
This, the 194th consecutive sellout in Orlando, and they've turned out for a matchup that has been eagerly anticipated. A meeting of the 47-14 Orlando Magic, the team with the best record in the NBA, going against the league's hottest club, the 41-17 San Antonio Spurs, who have won 19 of their last 22 games. We welcome you to the NBA Game of the Week. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albin, along with Matt Dukas, and with the showcase matchup of the center position, we're delighted to be joined by one of the great centers of all time of the NBA, Hall of Famer Bill Walton. Now, Bill, put yourself in David Robinson's shoes. What is his thought process going into a game like this?
Marv, most players come into Shaq's palace and just fold it in, almost with an acute case of Shaq-itis, but that's not the case with David Robinson, who's afraid of nothing or no one. That David Robinson thinks he's the best player in the game today, and why not? He's got the size, the strength, the toughness to keep Shaq off the block. He's got the killer offensive game to go right at the big guy. But maybe most importantly, it's the support of his quality teammates that always cover his backside that'll carry David Robinson today.
All right, Matt, you coached Shaquille O'Neal. You know him very well. In light of the 0-5 lifetime record against David Robinson, what is his approach today?
Well, first of all, nobody can stop Shaquille O'Neal one-on-one, but David Robinson does as good a job as you possibly can. Now, that's 3 points below Shaq's career average, but the San Antonio edge 5-0 is the key stat because that gets Shaq going. He is driven by those kind of challenges. Marv, I got to think that the Admiral better batten down the hatches today.
All right, so coming up at the second and final meeting of the regular season between San Antonio and Orlando, the Magic hoping to avenge the loss 10 days ago at the Alamo Dome.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite. You can expect great things from the great taste of Miller Lite. By Mitsubishi, the new thinking in automobiles. And by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
It is a beautiful 82-degree sunny day in Orlando. Both the Magic and the Spurs affected by injuries and ailments. For more on that, let's check in with the Dean. Here's Ahmad Rashad.
All right, thanks, Marv. On Friday night, Horace Grant hurt his hip in a fall playing against the Portland Trailblazers. He finished that game, but the next day he wasn't able to practice because of that stiff hip. He came out earlier this morning, tried to run, was to no avail. He will not play today. As far as the San Antonio Spurs, Dennis Rodman has had the flu the last 5 days. He told me he doesn't feel really 100%, but he will go today. Marv?
All right, and Donald Royal still sitting out because of the sprained left ankle. A look at the lineups. The Spurs with Elliott and Rodman at the forwards. Robinson, the center. Johnson and Del Negro at the guards. Scott, Anthony Eben starting for the injured Horace Grant, along with O'Neal and Hardaway and Anderson. The officials are Hugh Evans, Jack Neese, and Mike Callahan.
Well, not having Horace Grant available to the Magic puts a whole different light on it. In their meeting 9 days ago, Grant played Robinson most of the game, and Shaquille stayed with Rodman. That will switch today. Eben will be looking at Dennis Rodman, trying to keep him off the board.
And Shaquille O'Neal going right to David Robinson for a 2-0 lead.
That's the kind of shot that San Antonio will give up. Shaq fading away to the baseline. That'll feed their fast break once Rodman gets in gear off Shaq's misses.
This is a San Antonio team that began the season at 7-9, but since then they played at a very high level. Robinson going on the drive, and back come the Magic. Hardaway checking out the floor. Finds Scott for 3. Rodman battling for the rebound, had it poked away. And Hugh Evans looking for help on the call. It's being called a jump ball.
Hard to believe that there wasn't a foul called. Rodman, 3 guys in there sandwiching him. Not yet, but there's one. The play before that when he was trying to gather that ball in.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, we saw the Magic without Grant or O'Neal, and Penny Hardaway came up huge against the Chicago Bulls. I wonder, Marv, if he can do it again today, trying to pick up the rebounding slack.
I think the biggest loss for Orlando with Horace Grant today is going to be offensively and in the individual defensive matchups. They got Avan, a solid rebounder, but certainly not the offensive player that Horace Grant is.
And Avan won the tip. Anderson. Hardaway posting up on Johnson. Again, it's Scott for 3. And Rodman with the rebound. Here comes Avery Johnson running the floor. And he goes all the way.
Well, not only the rebound by Dennis Rodman, but starting the break, and that's what Avery Johnson has brought to this team this year. Open court play, ability to get all the way to the hoop.
Game is tied at 2. A minute and 15 gone by. One-on-one coverage by the Spurs. Now Del Negro comes over as Shaquille got the shot off, and the foul is called on Robinson.
Well, Rodman is so conscious of starting fast breaks. It's a big part of the Spurs offense. They overwhelmed the Magic in their game 9 days ago on the break, and Dennis will either outlet like that or take it himself, but nobody closed the gate there as Avery Johnson had that clear look at the hoop.
Here's the double team as Robinson came over to help Anderson for 3. So the Magic missing on their first 3 attempts from downtown. And again, Avery Johnson able to accelerate the length of the floor.
That penetration was going to draw the defense, and Rodman and Robinson will follow in strongly behind, but Orlando coming quickly back to the post up to Hardaway.
Avery Johnson has made it clear as Anderson this time was able to knock down the 3-pointer. Avery Johnson, despite giving up a good 8 inches on Penny Hardaway's made it clear. He says, hey, I can play him.
Well, he wants to take the challenge. However, every time Penny puts it on the floor, somebody's going to come down very quickly, but Hardaway will give it up.
Rare shot opportunity, and then gets it out to Elliott for 3. Sean Elliott connects from downtown, and the Spurs now lead 7-5.
San Antonio wants to pick and roll with Dennis Rodman all game long. They feel that's their clear advantage today.
And it's deflected out of bounds. Last touch.
The hardest thing for the big man underneath the basket, Rodman in that case. Intimidate the shot, force to miss, and then come back and grab that same miss. Rodman tapping it out of bounds.
But what a good-looking shot for Nick Anderson on that screen roll situation. Terrible defense by the Spurs. They'll have to do a much better job of that.
2.5 minutes gone by in the first quarter. The Spurs with a 7-5 lead. Here's Hardaway. And again, it's Rodman. Rebound number 4 for Dennis Rodman, who comes in averaging better than 17 rebounds per game to lead the NBA. Nice backdoor pass from Robinson, but Johnson could not handle it, and it will be Orlando possession.
Well, the Magic are trying to get Anthony Avan up above the tip of the circle to make Rodman set up above the free throw line to try to take him away from rebounding. So far, it has not worked. He's too quick. He gets down there too well.
Orlando coming off a Friday night victory over Portland here in Orlando. Del Negro fouled by Hardaway. Del Negro paused for just an instant, and the foul was picked up by Hardaway, his first.
Well, Nick Anderson complaining he felt that Sean Elliott reached in and hacked him on knocking and poking that ball away to start. Yes, another fast break opportunity for the San Antonio Spurs. Vinny Del Negro does not have lightning speed. Penny Hardaway easily caught up with him, just tried to make his change of shot, but Del Negro smartly drew the contact.
And Vinny, one of the better foul shooters in the NBA, has come back from a leg injury. Spent 2 years with Sacramento. It's his second season with San Antonio after a year overseas.
San Antonio has to be ecstatic. They're off to the quick start. The crowd is on their seats. When you're playing on the road, you want to diffuse this electric crowd here, get them booing rather than cheering and feeding the steamrolling Orlando offense.
Again, the Spurs went to the double team with Rodman racing over Hardaway. So Hardaway goes glass, and the Spurs now lead by the score of 9-7. San Antonio in its last game Friday night at the Spectrum in Philadelphia beat the 76ers 100-94. Had a big lead and then allowed the Sixers back into it as Elliott is able to hit. And the Spurs now lead 11-7. We were talking with Bob Hill about the Friday night game. He said at times the guys get bored out there, and as a result, they've had big leads upon occasion and have given them up.
And one was against Orlando in that game a week ago Friday when they blew a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter. You shouldn't get bored against a team with the best record in the league, however.
Good job by Robinson against O'Neal, forcing up the air ball, and Robinson is fouled by Avent.
Following up on the board point, when you got the great players like Robinson and Rodman out there, you are going to get bored because you think you can win anything. As Brian Hill concerned about the transition offense, which continues to plague Orlando's defense. Robinson just out in front of Shaq up and down. You got to race the floor when you're playing against Shaq.
But give a little credit to Anthony Avent there. He was the first big man back, took that position underneath the basket, and kept Robinson from getting the easy layup. Put the guy that's second in the league at most free throws, David Robinson, on the line, but a very good foul shooter.
Now, last season, there appeared to be a coolness, a sensitivity that developed between Shaquille O'Neal and David Robinson. They did go back and forth with statements at one point, although both poo-pooed it when we talked with them yesterday. And a foul is called. The outside official, Hugh Evans.
Foul number 6, Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson called for his first. Do you guys think there is anything between the two?
I think that's great. I don't like it when they come out in this mutual admiration society. I think you got to dislike the opposition. Shaq trying to get free underneath. I think there is something there because these guys, Shaq and Robinson, are both after the same thing, and that's the #1 spot in the NBA.
Well, I only think there's something there when they're playing against each other. I don't think they worry about one another the other 80 times that they play. And, you know, of course, a lot of it started in the All-Star game, and of course, it was all capped off in the final day of the season when Robinson just edged Shaquille for the scoring title.
Sean Elliott was called for the foul. Dennis Scott backing it up against Vinny Del Negro. And now here's Shaquille getting inside.
Well, Bill, you mentioned earlier that they'll give Shaq the fadeaway jumper and they'll give him some of those jump hooks in the lane. What they want to take away is transition baskets and power dunks. So far, they've given up 2 field goals to Shaq, but they'll live with it.
Rodman with all 6 rebounds for the Spurs, but San Antonio, they need to double team Shaq and keep him out of the middle. That left box, that is Shaq's power spot.
Foul committed by O'Neal. 6:47 remaining in this first quarter. The Spurs with a 12-9 lead on the Magic. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Well, you see the one advantage that David Robinson has against Shaquille O'Neal off the ball fake, the foot speed, which leads to the foul called on O'Neal. We talked yesterday with David Robinson about the challenge of playing against Shaquille O'Neal.
It's a huge challenge. I don't think there are too many guys in the league who can go out and just defend them one-on-one. And so, yeah, no question. When we go up against each other, it's a battle, and we have a good time with it. I think that you know, we wouldn't be at the level we're at if we didn't take that as a great challenge. You know, I want to go out there on the floor. I want to say I'm the best center. Obviously, he wants to go out and say he's the best center. So you won't see anybody back down. There's no question. It'll be a good matchup.
Once again, it shows you the loss of Horace Grant, because normally Horace would be playing David Robinson out on the floor where he can do a better job of moving his feet, plus keep Shaq out of foul trouble. He has won so far along with David Robinson, and now you're putting a 78% free throw shooter on the line.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal, as he put it, went through Legends Lane recently, and it was a phrase that Shaquille was able to coin and did well. He won 2 out of 3 in facing Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, and David Robinson in consecutive games last week. But today, another test against Robinson, who has given the Spurs a 14-9 advantage. 6:40 remaining in this opening quarter.
Did well. He was the dominant player in every game, and these are veterans who want what Shaq is going after. That's the MVP this year.
Dennis Scott knocks it down. That is his first field goal. So it's a 3-point San Antonio lead.
You must remember, Bill, Marv has very high standards.
That's right.
Player of the week.
Anderson with the rebound. Was there a center matchup that you were involved with where you disliked or intensely disliked your opponent?
My whole career from high school on was geared toward beating Abdul-Jabbar. He was the best player I ever played against by far. I played my best ball against him, and I don't even think the guy knows my name. No.
Elliott lost it. Here comes Scott. Did you intensely dislike him?
Oh, certainly. You sit in your hotel room, you steam, you brood about him. You just want to go out there and smash him the whole time. You look forward to these matchups more than any other one. And I think they dream about each other today. They just don't talk about it too much.
Off the lead pass with his first field goal, and the Spurs lead by 1. I'm told it's the same type of preparation for telecast. You sit in that room, you get wild.
Exactly. Dennis Rodman, myself, and Matt Gukas.
Oh, what a combination that is. That's an eclectic group. Shot clock is at 5. Elliott putting the move on Amen. Too late. It's a 24-second violation.
Well, Dennis Rodman was pointing to Elliott to get that shot off on this play. Or the play before, Rodman came down to double team Shaquille so quickly, showing some disrespect for Amen, but Shaq made the nice cutting pass to Amen here. Watch how quickly Rodman gets there to Shaquille, which left that open lane for Amen and the easy hoop.
Hardaway tried the feed for O'Neal with just under 5 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Del Negro changed his mind, found Robinson, and got it inside for Rodman, and a foul is called.
Poor offensive execution for Orlando. Anthony Hardaway down the lane, jumping in the air to pass the ball. Just fundamentally incorrect. A spectacular player, but keep those feet on the ground.
Well, this is an area of the game that Dennis Rodman is not particularly fond of. In fact, not all that particularly fond of offense. I think he'd like to have a stat line of 0 for 0 from the field, 0 for 0 from the line, 25 rebounds, and win the ball game. But offense is something that he just is not too thrilled about.
He is a 65% free throw shooter, but off that foul by Dennis Scott, he's able to hit the 2 free throws, and now the Spurs go to a trap, and the Magic with no problem handling.
But the dopey comment is totally out of line. Dennis Rodman, one of the game's smartest players, always in the correct position, leading this team mentally.
I hear Scott, and Rodman with rebound. Even on the steal. Hardaway from O'Neal. So the Spurs lead by 1. And back comes Robinson. So the Magic not able to get back on the transition.
But this is how good Dennis Rodman is. He made a physical error. He fumbled the basketball, gave up the layup, but didn't put his head down about it. Got the ball in quickly, got an easy layup for his team down the other end.
And a foul against the Spurs off the drive by Hardaway. Foul on Rodman, his first.
Rodman's been getting hammered on missed free throws. Not that time, though. He just bounces it off his foot. Gives up a nice pass there. Smartly avoids the foul. Three-point play. They never want to put the Magic in that situation. Then quickly right back up the floor.
And the rifleman, Chuck Person, who has provided instant offense off the bench, has come on for the first time for the Spurs. Hardaway putting moves on Rodman. And Rodman to the rebound. Avery Johnson racing by Nick Anderson. Setting it up for Person, who fires. Yes. Three-pointer for Person. And the Spurs lead by 6.
First touch, nothing but net on a three-pointer. Great sign for Bob Hill.
7 fast breaks for the Spurs and 14 points. Their half-court offense hasn't been that good. I'm talking about the Spurs right now, but they're in control of this game because of the fast break.
Foul committed by Robinson. That is his second. And Shaquille will go to the line.
The Spurs are leaving David Robinson out to dry there. There's no way anyone can keep Shaq from scoring on that deep post position. You got to double team on the catch on the left box.
And Bill, I think they're thinking of doing that now, and they have done. At least Dennis Rodman has taken on himself to do that because Horace Grant is not available. He's not really worried about Anthony Amen right now. He's going to move around and try to help out on Shaq and try to help out on Penny Hardaway.
Horace Grant sitting in across the bruised hip after making it back from a strep throat. Recently he's had back problems, so it's been a tough go physically. Here's Terry Cummings checking in for David Robinson who sits down with 5 points and 2 personal fouls. So a front line of Cummings with Person and Elliott for the Spurs.
Bob Hill's worst nightmare. David Robinson, 2 fouls deep into the first quarter, changes the whole outlook of this game.
Within 2.
Well, now the Magic have made the switch. Now they'll put Shaquille O'Neal on Rodman to keep him close to the basket, and Amen will look at Terry Cummings, who can step out at 15 feet and make jump shots.
Johnson slicing his way through, and he draws the foul. And a timeout has been called. Amen picks up his second personal. 2:44 to go in this opening quarter. Dennis Rodman off to the fast start. This season did not begin in promising fashion for the Spurs. Dennis Rodman, you recall, sitting it out on the suspended list, granted a leave of absence for personal reasons. Things seem to have calmed down, in particular with the Spurs being so successful with Rodman in the lineup. We talked with San Antonio coach Bob Hill and asked after the differences between management and Dennis Rodman, where are things now with Dennis?
He's a very prideful man and is really his own man. And, you know, he makes comments sometimes to project the image that he feels is important. But as far as his activity with the team and behavior, it's been very good. You know, he's a very quiet person. He doesn't have a lot to say day in and day out, which surprises some people, but he's very quiet. But he's been very cooperative, and he's really not been a problem. The perception of Dennis Rodman is carried away like it is with most of his guys.
Well, I think Dennis Rodman is just starting to feel comfortable again as a person and as a basketball player. The situation in Detroit was very unsettling for him. Also, his family problems. Now he's starting to feel good again, and it shows in his play.
2.5 to go in this first quarter, and the Spurs lead by 4. Here's Scott. He's been off the mark. Rebound, Hardaway. Both David Robinson and Shaquille O'Neal sitting down. Tree Rollins, the player coach for the Magic, on the floor, replacing Shaquille. Robinson went out after picking up a second foul. Jeff Turner has also checked in for the Magic. Avery Johnson for Chuck Person. Shot clock is down to 7. Spread the floor and get in the hoop.
Remaining in the quarter. Less than 2.
Down to 3. Person. Rodman trying to back tap. Scott takes for Orlando.
Well, once again, good defense by the Magic. Set offense of the Spurs. Very shaky so far.
Rodman with the rebound.
Nick Anderson's doing a terrific job on the defensive end. Tip balls, long rebounds, coming right at Rodman.
San Antonio substitution number
Orlando
25,
ball
Doc Rivers.
With a minute and 34 to go in this first quarter. Doc Rivers, the one-time New York Knick, one-time LA Clipper, one-time Atlanta Hawk, has checked in for the first time. Hardaway being guarded by Rivers. Turner not able to hit. Cummings with the rebound. And this is Rivers. Doc Rivers making it back from the anterior cruciate ligament surgery and rehabilitated faster than expected, although he throws up that air ball. That was not a plan out of the pages of the last game between Orlando and San Antonio, when the air ball was fielded and put home for a San Antonio victory.
Dennis Rodman giving up 100 pounds to Shaq, just moved him out of the space. Those air balls, the hardest things to rebound for anybody, much less the 7-footers who have that rhythm of just moving to the basket on the natural miss.
Brian Shaw has come on. It's Shaw and Hardaway in the backcourt for the Magic. Hardaway through the foul.
The foul number
Defense
25,
once
Doc
again by the
Rivers.
Spurs on the screen roll situation between Hardaway and O'Neal. They're not really definitive of how they want to play it. They're looking just to string it and you know, kind of get back with everybody. I think, Bill, you got to get more aggressive, either trapping it or sending it in a particular direction.
But Penny Hardaway is not looking to pull up behind that screen and shoot the long jump or he's looking to get to the hoop. So I think it's okay to back off a little softer. You can't let him turn the corner. You got to turn him back to the baseline. The Spurs have done a solid job of keeping Hardaway under control. Very little impact on the offensive end.
Rodman with rebound number 10. The Spurs lead by 1 with 40 seconds to go in this first quarter. Doc Rivers using the pick. Catch and shoot move by Chuck Person. The tip missed by Rodman, but it's Rodman again. So Rodman with his first field goal, and the Spurs are up by 3.
What tenacity. Your only job is to keep him off the board, and he's there for his 11th rebound of the first quarter.
O'Neal guarded now by Cummings. Here's Shaquille. Got to power his way. Called for traveling violation.
Kind of an uncharacteristic tip-in by Dennis Rodman. Normally he catches with 2 hands and then maybe look to throw it back out. Bob Hill has been after him to be more aggressive offensively. They would like to get 9 or 10 points out of him, as well as all those rebounds.
Final seconds of the first quarter. Rivers. And O'Neal with the rebound, so time is running. It's the side of the rim. That would not have counted, but after one, it's the Spurs with a 25-22 lead. 12 rebounds in the first quarter by Rodman. The NBA record most rebounds in a quarter. Nate Thurman at 18 in a quarter back in 1965. We'll be back with more from Orlando. You're watching the NBA on NBC. Well, this is the 3rd time this season that Dennis Rodman has had 12 or more rebounds in 1 quarter. Not bad for a guy coming off the effects of the flu. And you take a look at the top 6 rebounding performances this season. Dennis Rodman with 5 of the 6. The season high 30 at Houston.
And look how all of them are against the top teams in the league. Houston, Seattle, Indiana, and Phoenix.
Good teams, but not necessarily good rebounding teams. In fact, the 30 against Houston, that was the first game that Otis Thorpe had gone to Portland.
Here's Cummings opening up the second quarter. Terry Cummings. In his 13th season out of DePaul. He has been around so long. He's a one-time teammate of Bill Walton with the San Diego Clippers.
Rookie of the year in his first year in a class that included Worthy and Dominique Wilkins. The second unit, though, for San Antonio, so key. Orlando not left with great depth.
Jeff Turner lays it home. It's the Spurs 47 and the Magic 24. The Orlando Magic here at home with a record of 31-1. They won their last 10 straight. They opened the year by winning 21 in a row at home. The NBA record most home victories in the regular season is 40, which is in sight. J.R. Reed with his first attempt. And here is Cummings. And a loose ball foul is called. The NBA record most home victories in the regular season held by the Boston Celtics of 85-86. Orlando with the mark of 31-1. Boston went 40-1 at home. And the Magic can tie that record by winning their final 9 home games.
Celtics, of course, led by Larry Bird. The Portland Trailblazers came in and spanked them and lost the big game. Steve Coulter, Jerome Kersey, and Sam Bowie went wild at the Boston Garden that night. Jack Ramsey leading that Blazer team.
And you were on the Celtic bench?
On the Celtic bench, being Larry Bird's valet that season.
Allegro called for that last foul. And last touch by Rivers.
This is a tremendous opportunity for the Orlando Magic right now to pound the ball inside with both David Robinson and Dennis Rodman on the bench. There's our old coach, Bill. Jack Ramsey, who just celebrated his 70th birthday. And he's not going to be very happy with me for saying that, but he looks terrific.
Coached you at St. Joseph's, Philadelphia. And, of course, Bill with the...
Where I played my best basketball for Jack Ramsey in Portland.
I thought at St. Joe's.
I went to UCLA, Marv. #1 team in the country in college basketball.
You keep reminding us of that stuff.
You told us you don't know what is east of I-5 in California. You just disregard everything in the eastern part of the country.
Foul on Terry Cummings. His first.
Well, Penny Hardaway started trying to get the ball inside, drawing the attention of all the San Antonio Spurs, enabling Shaq to work the baseline.
I think Orlando's interior passing has been superb today, taking advantage of the gambling defense that you have to play against Orlando day in and day out because of Shaq's presence down low.
And Shaquille O'Neal is 2 for 3 at the line. Line drives it and came up short. Bob Hill now has Doc Rivers at the point guard position. He and Del Negro at the guards. Cummings, Reed, and Person up front. Shot clock at 7. And a reach-in foul is called. It's on Turner. That is his first.
A big part of the half-court offense for the Spurs is isolation plays, either doing it for Sean Elliott, who sits on the bench right now, or in this case, seeing if Terry Cummings can lure Shaquille O'Neal away from the basket where he can hit that jumper or possibly drive by and maybe draw another foul.
Del Negro. And it's rebounded by Turner.
But the good thing for San Antonio is they're going right at Shaq. Most teams shy away from him. The Spurs with Robinson and Cummings attacking him.
Turner not able to hit after taking the interior pass from O'Neal, and a foul is called. Foul on Anderson. A timeout is called. 2:05 gone by. In the second, it's the Spurs with a 3-point lead on the Magic.
Whenever Dennis Rodman comes out of the ballgame, the first thing he does, besides pull his shirt tail out, is take his shoes off. And it's not any sign of individuality or anything like that. When we asked Bob Hill about it yesterday, and he says his feet are just killing him. So it's kind of a disadvantage for the coach. In case he wants to pop him right back into the ballgame, it takes a little while for Dennis to lace him up again.
I used to do that myself all the time. Your feet just burn up out there when you're as active as a Dennis Rodman is, but I would put them right back on. It appeared that Dennis Rodman was not taped. I can't believe a man as active as he is doesn't get his ankles.
On behalf of all of us here at NBC Sports, we'd appreciate it if you would put your shoes back on now. This is really embarrassing. All right, here's Reed with the step. J.R. Reed was a question mark for today because of a strained left shoulder. Friday night in Philadelphia, played only the first 7 minutes and then sat. And with the bucket by Reed, the Spurs now lead 29-24. Here's O'Neal. Was on target, so Shaquille has 8 points.
Well, Shaq was disappointed in himself for giving that easy drive to J.R. Reed. He wanted the ball back down the other end, and he's not going to let J.R. Reed drive to the basket anymore. I'm pretty sure of that.
For those who may have just tuned in, David Robinson picked up a second foul early, so he has not played in a while. Here comes Brian Shaw running the floor, leading Shaquille O'Neal. Rejected. Terry Cummings comes back for the block.
Shaq's first transition opportunity, and he's not getting back up the floor. Tremendous recovery, Spurs.
Reed off the double foul. Reed on the follow, and the Spurs now with a 31-26 advantage.
Well, the Magic will look to do that in transition. Shaq is still upset and looking at the officials for no call. Nevertheless, you got to sprint back on defense.
About Penny Hardaway, though, just a non-factor. This is the guy you thought would just dominate against Avery Johnson. But the lob pass, this is something that all teams need to work on. You've got to keep body contact.
And they're in transition. Shaq thought he was all alone. That good hustle by Terry Cummings to surprise Shaquille O'Neal from behind to knock that ball away. However, Shaq thought it was a foul.
Cummings called for the foul. David Robinson is checked back in, replacing Terry Cummings. Anthony Bowie on the floor for the Magic for the first time. Heel to the spinning jump shot. It's rebounded by Person. Avery Johnson and Vinny Del Negro now in the backcourt. J.R. Reed, David Robinson, Chuck Person on the front line. And Reed to the spin.
I like the way San Antonio is attacking offensively. They're not tentative, not backing off, going right at Shaq.
Off the steal, Johnson with Scott back. No looks, Robinson. David Robinson from Avery Johnson. And the Spurs extend to a 7-point lead. San Antonio looking very sharp here in the early going. And a timeout is taken by Brian Hill. Biggest lead of the game. A margin of 7 for San Antonio.
Well, the Spurs have been killing the Magic on fast breaks, 16-4 in points. Not the best outlet pass by Reed, but Avery Johnson does a nice job of adjusting out of the corner of his eye. He saw the hustling, sprinting David Robinson to finish off that play.
Point guard comparison, and first we look at the centers in the middle. Points even. Rebounds, not very many. It's been Rodman's board day. Avery Johnson playing Anthony Hardaway to a standstill. But I think the tempo has gone Avery Johnson's way. Hardaway has not been the impact player today that he normally is.
It has been an intriguing career for Avery Johnson out of Southern University. He's back with San Antonio after they let him go to Golden State. Actually, he has been released twice by the Spurs, but he's a guy who injects life and spark into this ball club, and he's back as the starting point guard. It will be Orlando in possession. 7:38 to go in the first half, and the Spurs lead 33-26.
Johnson's the emotional vocal leader. Rodman in his quiet mode just gets burned there along the baseline.
Ryan Shaw on the inbounds play cuts it to a 5-point San Antonio lead. And the call away from the ball is Turner and Reed came together. Jeff Turner called for his second foul.
I'm surprised that Dennis Rodman has been on the bench so long. He was dominant. Reed trying to get the deep post position. Jeff Turner denying with the shoulder a foul.
Here's Robinson. David Robinson with 9 points. He's hit 3 out of 5 from the field. Shaquille O'Neal with 8. So a low-key start by the two centers. Spurs up by 7 points. They collapse on O'Neal. Dennis Scott has not been hitting the 3. Oh! Trevor with the rebound. Shaw for Ryan Shaw, who has not shot well this season, has hit his first 2 from the field, and it cuts it to a 4-point San Antonio lead. Here's Reed putting the move on Turner, and a foul. Foul again on Jeff Turner. That is his third. And that's a big call, in particular with Horace Grant sitting it out with a bruised hip.
Well, Jeff Turner known more for his perimeter play, being an outstanding 18-foot jump shooter, but he has been very active in and around the basket. The last possession for Orlando, getting that offensive rebound and the kick out to Scott for another opportunity. But Jeff is also very foul-prone because he just does not have the size or strength to battle inside.
They're going to J.R. Reed here. He's come to play today. If you play this way every game, watch out.
Reed had it knocked away. Beautiful save by Bowie. Anthony Bowie for Shaquille O'Neal. And for the first time this afternoon, the Magic showing signs. 35-33, San Antonio halfway through the second quarter. Avery Johnson to the driving hook. The tip missed by Reed, and then it's tipped home by Robinson. The Spurs lead by 4.
As the crowd comes back for Orlando, Bob Hill's got to get the one guy, Rodman, who can diffuse that crowd back in there, not lose control early.
Well, anytime you make a good defensive play, as Anthony Bowie did to start this fast break opportunity, Shaq with the nice footwork, the drop step for the jump hook, and here J.R. Reed and David Robinson playing volleyball on the offensive glass, as the Magic are really going to have to establish themselves on that defensive board.
Del Negro on a quick release. Vinny Del Negro with his first field goal. The Spurs 39 and the Magic 33. Marv Albin along with Matt Dukas was joined today by Hall of Famer Bill Walton. 5:20 to go in this first half. Coming up at halftime with all the speculation swirling around the Michael Jordan situation. We'll hear from Chicago Bulls coach Phil Jackson, who will address that person. Not able to hit. Robinson on the foul. David Robinson extends to an 8-point San Antonio lead, and for the Spurs, it is their biggest lead of the game.
Robinson smartly bringing it down. He was totally off balance. Need to come back, but Ryan Shaw answering beautifully right back for Orlando.
41-35 San Antonio. Johnson, counts, and the foul. Avery Johnson running wild in this first half, he's now hit 3 out of 3 from the field, and he'll go to the line looking for a three-point play.
Well, Avery Johnson sensing that the Magic not getting back on defense, trying to push the ball at every opportunity. A couple of years ago, Avery Johnson would not be able to finish that play, and in fact, may even get that shot blocked. What he has really improved on since he was in Golden State last year and now this year is making sure that he at least gets that shot off. Even if he misses it, Rodman or Robinson can tap it in.
He was fouled by Brian Shaw, and Johnson able to take advantage. The Spurs 44 and the Magic 35. The matchup is now Shaw, played by Johnson. Hardaway being guarded by Elliott. And here's Hardaway. Moved by Penny Hardaway. 44-37, Spurs by 7.
You got to turn Hardaway back on the pick and roll. You can't let him come over the top and then down the lane. Knicks do that better than anybody in the NBA.
Robinson. David Robinson catching fire. He now has 15. He's hit 6 of 9 from the field. We come up on 4 minutes remaining in this first half. Scott for 3. And Dennis Scott is now 0 for 5 from downtown. Overall, 2 out of 9 from the field. Johnson saw the opening, same move. Avery Johnson able to split his way through, and the Spurs lead by 11.
Avery is left-handed, isn't he? I think. He keeps going that way. You got to make him go the other way once in a while. Avery Johnson, again, little open floor, easily getting between the two big men, Shaquille O'Neal and Anthony Aben, as his coach, Bob Hill, absolutely thrilled with the way his little point guard is playing.
3:44 to go in this second quarter. San Antonio in the midst of a 13-4 run, and it has been sparked by the combination of Avery Johnson and David Robinson. Avery comes off a strong game against the Sixers Friday night, 7 of 10, 23 points, averaging 13 a game along with 8 assists.
Avery Johnson undrafted in the NBA, and here he is, probably the biggest game in the year this year, and he's dominating.
And Avery Johnson in a very select group among those who has been able to improve his scoring average each season that he's been in the league. Alex English, Kevin McHale, Happy Harrison, and Derek Harper are the only other NBA players who have been able to pull that off.
McHale, he peaked in his 7th year and went down every year all the way to the end. The perfect pyramid for Kevin.
Kevin will appreciate your pointing that out. As Hardaway goes to his left hand.
And this is going to be the kind of game where Penny is going to have to take charge and get something going. So far, Dennis Scott now on the bench with the cold hand. Shaq not really into it yet. Hardaway's going to have to make things happen.
Spurs lead 48-39. Backdoor pass from Elliott connecting with Johnson.
Taking advantage of the lax defense by the guards for Orlando, who relies so much on Shaq, and the fact that most teams just don't even challenge Shaq inside.
And Dennis Rodman is back on the floor, helping on the double team. Elliott on the double team. Hardaway coming up short, rebounded by Robinson.
They've taken Rodman out of his defensive rhythm.
Pass could not be handled by Elliott.
Penny Hardaway getting more and more aggressive offensively, sensing that he's not getting help from his teammates right now at either end of the floor. Here's the penetration. Doesn't care who's inside. Takes it right to David Robinson, who has 2 personal fouls.
And David Robinson, the high man with 15. Avery Johnson with 13. Spurs lead by 11. Had an 11-point lead for San Antonio with 2:44 remaining in the second quarter.
There's how Hardaway is getting it going. Pick and roll situation, and Dennis Rodman is going to get up into Aben, and Avery Johnson supposed to go underneath, does not do it, and that creates the lane to the basket. Robinson gets there, but way too late.
And Robinson's playing with 2 fouls. He doesn't want to take any chances. He's got to worry about Shaq. You neutralize Shaq, you neutralize Hardaway, your chances of winning skyrocket in this building.
David Robinson with a very strong second quarter. David getting a rest right now. Terry Cummings back on the floor, matched with Shaquille O'Neal.
3 seconds!
Anderson for 3. Nick Anderson with his second three-pointer, and the Spurs now lead 50-42.
That's fine coaching by Hill. Not let Robinson pick up his third. Just play out the half. Try to hold on right now. Come out. Start afresh in the second.
Elliott guarded by Hardaway. O'Neal over to help. Cummings. And rebounded by O'Neal. That is only his fourth rebound.
Now Shaq's got Terry Cummings down low.
Got a piece of it recovered by O'Neal. And Shaquille having a tough time in this first half. Johnson stepped out. He tried to control it at center court, but he stepped out of bounds.
Well, anytime the ball goes into the low post, there's going to be a man wide open at the top of the key. Dennis Scott has been unable to knock that shot down. Nick Anderson just made a three, but with Anthony Aiden up there, he's not a scoring threat from there. So he'll dive to the basket, but a shooter has to replace him in that top of the key area.
That's where Horace Grant, the guy that can make that shot a good percentage of the time, is so valuable to the
Good move by O'Neal, and he draws the foul. So Shaq going to the spin, and Terry Cummings collects his third.
Well, this is the kind of move they do not want to give Shaquille O'Neal. If he turns to the baseline and shoots a jumper, fine, well and good. But they don't want to give him that kind of a lane to the basket. Terry Cummings did the next best thing by making him try to earn it at the line.
Bill, I know you worked with Shaquille O'Neal while he was at LSU. Did you help him with his free throw shooting? Is this the style that he is showing?
I told him to be ahead by 20 at the end of every game and not worry about the free throws. Take it to the hoop, put the pressure on him, get him in foul trouble.
At that time, though, when you were working with Shaquille, did you feel that he'd have this kind of impact on the NBA?
Certainly. It's just a chance that when I got there, he was playing with Chris Jackson and Stanley Robertson. They were the focal point. Cummings makes a terrific steal.
And got it to Johnson. Crowd looking for a travel. El Negro on the pull-up. Anderson rebounds with 1 minute left in this first half. Orlando with the ball down by 7. Hardaway setting it against Elliott. And now Shaw on a post-up move draws the foul. It's called on Johnson. Avery Johnson with his second.
Terrific defensive play by Terry Cummings to knock this ball loose from Shaquille O'Neal and then make the extra effort to dive to the floor, collect himself, and slide it along the floor for a fast break opportunity as Brian Hill wanting Shaq to get a little bit more into this game. Get stronger with the ball. Start dominating at both ends of the floor. Right now, Shaq is trying to ease his way into this game. It's just not going to get it done, especially without Horace Grant available.
But he's not in foul trouble, and he will draw more fouls on David Robinson. Orlando not having a strong game in the first half. They're right there, just down 6. And Rodman has lost that rhythm. He doesn't have the control right now. It's going to take minutes to get it back.
6:01 by Orlando after they trail by 11. Foul on Shaw, reaching in, looking to knock the ball away from Johnson. That's 2 on Shaw, and both teams are over the foul limit. So Avery Johnson to the line.
Well, despite the excellent rebounding by Dennis Rodman and other things in that first quarter, I think he's still bothered by the flu. He just does not seem to have that life in his legs. He's not playing with the normal enthusiasm that he does in this building against a team with the best record. I think he's still bothered.
They're executing their game plan to perfection, San Antonio. The high pick and rolls involve Rodman every time, and there he is again.
And the foul is called. Dennis Rodman with rebound number 15. And the foul picked up by Anderson.
I don't think the flu bothers guys like Dennis Rodman. He comes out, he sees this game. This is his place to create, his place to explode out there. He comes out, once he crosses that white line, everything is his, and nothing will deny him.
Dennis 3 for 3 from the line. He now has 5 points. He had been bothered at times recently by a sinus infection, but the flu has been with him the last week. He has been under the weather. Now 38 seconds to go in this first half. Coming up at halftime, Hannah Storm back at the studio along with Julius Irving and Peter Vesey, and a chat with Chicago Bulls head coach Phil Jackson on the subject of Michael Jordan. Pass intended for Avon. Anderson thought he was fouled, but it will be San Antonio ball. San Antonio Spurs come in as the hottest team in the NBA. They've won 19 of their last 22. They've won their last 2 wins at Cleveland and Philadelphia, playing back-to-back on the road, while Orlando, with the best record in the league at 47-14, they have won 3 straight and 7 of their last 8. Johnson working the clock, holding for a final shot. David Robinson, the high man, with 15. Avery Johnson with 14. Avery Johnson again for the left-hand drive, and a loose ball foul is called with 4 seconds remaining in the half.
Avery Johnson, who dominated the flow of this game down the lane, the fake wraparound back behind the back pass, froze the defense, threw it up. Just never get that shot blocked. Get it over the top of the outstretched defender. Give your guys on the weak side a chance to slam it home.
Rodman called for the foul. His second. The Spurs are taking a 20-second timeout. When we resume, the Magic to the foul line with both teams over the limit.
Well, the high screen roll sends Avery Johnson to the basket. That shot changed by Shaquille O'Neal. But you see Anthony Avon battling Cummings and Rodman in there. He was sandwiched between the two, but Rodman, who has normally had a clean run, a lot of those offensive rebounds, this time tried to go through the back of Avon.
You know, Orlando, not a deep team, playing without Horace Grant, forced to go with Avon, who's a solid player, but is he world-class like Horace Grant and Dennis Rodman? No.
And another key front court player not available today, who's been out for 6 or 7 games, is Donald Royal. Although Donald only 6'8", gives you some toughness in there. He'll battle a guy like Rodman and also kind of neutralize him with his quickness and speed.
Donald Royal on a walking cast with that sprained left ankle. Donald with Horace Grant. The Spurs have out-rebounded the Magic 31-14 in this first half. Rodman with 15 of the 31 rebounds. Avon cuts it to a 7-point San Antonio lead.
Give the ball to Avery Johnson. Plenty of time. Get it to him on the run. Fill the lanes. And Chuck Person in the game. He's the guy you got to watch out for. He and Sean Elliott spotting up off the penetration by Avery Johnson.
4 seconds remaining in the half. Anthony Avon, a 65% free throw shooter. After Rodman and Cummings play catch, Rodman gets it to Person. That was from close to center court. And that is the end of the first half, with the Spurs leading 53-47. David Robinson came on in the second quarter, 15 points for the half, along with 6 rebounds. Shaquille O'Neal, 4 of 11. He had 11 points, only 4 rebounds. Coming up, the Prudential halftime report with Hannah right after these words.
This is the Game of the Week on NBC.
Welcome back to the Orlando Arena. The San Antonio Spurs with a 53-47 lead on the Orlando Magic. Marv Albert, Bill Walton, Matt Guokas, and Matt taking a look at the way Orlando played in the first half, down by only 6. In light of the fact they did not play particularly well, I would think they have to be satisfied, trailing by only 6.
And I'm sure Brian Hill pointed that out, but he also probably pointed out, hey, Dennis Rodman out-rebounded him all by himself, 15-14. That's going to have to change. And transition defense, absolutely awful. They gave up, the Magic did, 16 first half fast break points.
The big surprise, though, has been Shaq and Penny Hardaway. They've just not shown up in a physical sense. In a game like this, you got to come out and establish the fact, hey, we're the best team in basketball. This is our court. We're going to get it done, and they have not.
All right, let's take a look at the Miller Lite halftime statistics. The Spurs 19 of 45 from the field, 42% shooting. The Magic 18 of 40. They picked it up in the second quarter. And Shaquille O'Neal has not been his usual terrorizing force. 11 points, 4 of 11 from the field, but has only 1 foul. David Robinson has 2 fouls off the boards. The Spurs, led by that man, Dennis Rodman, have had the decisive edge. 31-14. Rodman with 15 rebounds in all. We'll be back with the second half in a moment. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Easter. Some of you will see a red-hot Central Division rivalry when Pippen leads the Bulls against Reggie and the Pacers. Or others will see 2 division leaders face off at the High as the Hornets host one of the league's top road teams, the Jazz. Non-stop NBA action next Sunday. Tip-offs just after 12 noon Eastern on NBC.
The O-Arena here in Orlando, and I'm joined by Coach Brian Hill, and you're only down by 6 points. I would imagine that one of your areas of concern is the penetration by Avery Johnson.
Well, I feel good with where we are, only being down 6, considering that we missed a ton of easy shots. Johnson's penetration is a factor. The 2 keys are transition defense and rebounding. They're beating us significantly in both of those areas. And if we improve in those 2 areas and start to drop some shots, I think we'll be in good shape.
How do you make that adjustment without Horace Grant on the rebounds?
Well, just got to work a little bit harder. It takes a little bit more concentration, a little bit hard work from the other guys on the floor, and we got to pick each other up.
All right, good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thanks.
All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, Ahmad, and the 1 loss suffered by the Orlando Magic here at home to Seattle back on February 2nd was a game that saw Horace Grant sidelined by injury, although Orlando is 5-3 with Grant out of the lineup. But look at the leading scorers: 15 for David Robinson, 14 for Avery Johnson. Dennis Rodman, 6 points, but the big number with Rodman, 15 rebounds, 11 for Shaquille O'Neal and Anthony Hardaway. And Brian Shaw had the hot hand. He had 9 points.
We certainly did not think that Avery Johnson would outplay Anthony Hardaway in the first half. That Seattle victory here, Gary Payton had a huge game, as Avery Johnson is today.
So the third quarter underway, and Hardaway opening up along with Anderson at the guard, Scott, O'Neal, and Avent up front. Avent replacing the injured Horace Grant. Pass intended for Avent, and it will be San Antonio ball. The Spurs with Avery Johnson and Vinny Del Negro at the guards, Dennis Rodman, David Robinson, and Sean Elliott up front.
The Magic are going to have to get Dennis Scott involved offensively. Dennis just 2 for 9 in that first half, 0 for 5 from three-point land. If the outside shot isn't going for Dennis, he's going to have to put it on the floor and get to the basket some.
Pick and roll again at 6. Here's Elliott. And Dennis Rodman beats the 24. So the Spurs now lead 55-47. Rodman has 8 points. Off the double team, it comes out to Scott. And pass. And he got a break. It's called a kick ball by Rodman.
To beat Orlando, you've got to put it all on the line. The Spurs are doing that. They're getting back. They're double teaming. They're running out at the shooters. There is no tomorrow the way San Antonio is playing today.
Jump hook. Anderson recaptures. And back comes Elliott. Beautiful delivery from Del Negro to Johnson, and the Spurs now lead by 10 points.
And that was off a rebound all around the basket. The Spurs are just flat out sprinting the Magic in those fast break situations.
Hardaway getting the pick from O'Neal. Robinson, O'Neal on the follow.
A terrific penetration by Penny Hardaway, forced to change that shot, as I believe he heard the footsteps of David Robinson, but Shaq wisely following up on the play.
Elliott. Yes, and it counts. What a move by Sean Elliott, who was isolated against Nick Anderson.
Well, this is a set play that the San Antonio Spurs like to go to. Just give the ball to Sean Elliott, let him clear out. It used to be that Sean could only go to his right. He has also developed a move to his left. He doesn't necessarily get all the way to the basket with it, but that time he just flat out blew by Nick Anderson. A lucky shot, but he'll take it and go to the three-point line.
When you lose the ball on the way to the hoop and it still goes in, you know it's your day. Keep shooting it every time you touch it.
Sean Elliott in a second go-around with the Spurs, reacquired from Detroit, where it did not work out for Sean. Anderson, 8 points for Nick Anderson, and the Spurs are up 60 to 51. Robinson with a jump hook, looked like he lost the grip momentarily.
Well, normally David doesn't get that many deep post position type plays. He's normally facing the basket from about 17 feet, but he shows he has the inside game as well.
The continued strategy of San Antonio: attack Shaq. Don't let him be the weak side defender.
Scott. Well, Dennis Scott, after going 0 for 5 from three-point land, hits his first, and he is a street shooter. They'll be looking for him.
The game Orlando at Phoenix early this year, when he has the huge second half, brings Orlando back from the brink.
Spurs now lead by 8. Robinson. Rebound O'Neal. 8:45 remaining in the third. Hardaway losing Johnson. Looking to go glass, but he was able to hit.
Well, Dennis Rodman stepped up to the dotted line to try to take the charge. He paid a price for it as he got hit in the face.
Orlando within 6, and Hardaway nearly picked it off.
Rodman holding his head. This is one of the league's toughest competitors. No flopping with him involved, but you see him up to the dotted line, try to take the charge. Not a good idea with Shaq. Just turn and get out of the way.
Well, the reason he didn't get the call is he turned his side. He turned his shoulder on the play. Referees won't give it to you there. You got to take it head on. Not a good idea with Shaq coming.
You take that one.
Yeah, right. That's what Dennis will say. You get that one, pal.
All right, Scott squaring up for the 2-point shot. Rebound Robinson. From Johnson, Rodman missed the layup and missed the follow.
The look-away pass by Avery Johnson. A little carelessness by Rodman. The crowd is pushing Orlando now.
O'Neal, yes, and it counts. He'll go to the line.
And keep an eye on this particular play here. This could be a turnaround right now as the crowd is really into it. When Dennis Rodman runs the floor hard, that's an indication to his teammates, I want the ball back. I don't think he thought he was going to be this wide open as he just blew the layup, not padding his offensive rebounding stats. And then it's going to turn in at the other end as Shaquille O'Neal powering to the basket and completing the three-point play.
8-0 run by the Magic. That foul was called on Rodman, his third, and the Spurs lead is cut to 3.
Shaq feeding off Penny Hardaway's penetration.
And a 3-second violation call. This crowd very much into it. Not the case in the first half. Not much happening in the first half from the Orlando point of view. 7.5 to go in the third. The Spurs have led most of the way. They've led by as many as 11. O'Neal rebounded by Robinson.
They're just not doubling him on the left block. The game plan for San Antonio: double on the catch on the left, on the dribble on the right block.
For Robinson, a gorgeous pass by Dennis Rodman, and Robinson will go to the line. The foul committed by O'Neal, his second.
People think that Dennis Rodman is strictly a defender and a rebounder. He's a playmaker as well. Closest combination to Bill Russell and Magic Johnson that I've seen in basketball.
Whoa, high, very high praise.
Well, Dennis Rodman does not want to shoot the ball. Anytime he has it, he wants to make the next pass, and that's really nice when you're one of the other 4 players on the floor. They'll make themselves available.
Do you see Rodman as a serious contender for MVP honors?
I think the MVP is going to go down as Hardaway throws it down and out. But whoever wins the regular season overall winning percentage. Orlando at the top right now. If San Antonio runs it out, though, at the 20-game mark left, it could be Rodman or Robinson. Right now, clearly Shaq.
Beautiful move on the reverse by Hardaway. 4-point lead for San Antonio. Del Negro for three. Here comes Hardaway. The pass intended for Scott, broken up. Johnson now will regroup. Waiting for the big man, David Robinson, to make his way back to the front court. 10 on the shot clock. He had the pick and roll with Rodman. And back comes Shaquille. Shaquille going all the way. Rodman with the rebound. Well, I know you enjoyed that one.
Rodman is in there battling with everything he's got.
Sean Elliott providing a 6-point lead for the Spurs.
Well, every time it seems that Dennis mishandles the ball, makes a mistake, might miss a layup, he comes back at the other end of the floor to make a good play for his team.
He never lets a bad play interfere with the overall game. Doesn't hang his head.
Here's Scott setting up Anderson for three. And the Spurs on the run. Magic got back. Avery Johnson again penetrates.
With the left hand, you must make Avery Johnson try to finish something going to his right. I know it sounds very simple, must be very difficult to do.
I think conditioning is a factor here. Orlando playing at home in a long streak at home.
Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille again. And the Spurs lead by 6.
San Antonio seems to be the fresher team. They've been on the road all week, starting in Cleveland, going to Philadelphia, winding up today before heading home.
Yes, this is the finale of the 3-game road trip. Robinson changed his mind, picked up by Anderson. 3-on-2 for the Magic. Hardaway on the spin. He handled the pass very well. It was too close to him, but he was able to make the move.
Well, he turned it into a power move. It was a fast break. He turned it in, put it on the floor, spin, drop step, take it strong to the hoop, not making any mistakes with the fast break opportunity.
4:26 remaining in the third. Off this move by Penny Hardaway. The Magic cut it to a 4-point Spur lead. With the Orlando Magic making a run here in the third quarter, Anthony Hardaway has picked it up. There are many basketball people who have compared the style of Penny Hardaway to that of Irvin Magic Johnson. We talked about that yesterday with Penny.
Well, I feel great about the comparison, but there's only going to be one Magic Johnson. Magic did things for the game that I'll never be able to do, and I think I'll be able to do some things that he never was able to do. So, you know, the comparisons come in, I think, because of the Showtime play, and he being 6'9", and I'm being 6'7", and we both like, you know, to push the ball and do fancy passes or what, you know, the Showtime type of style. So, you know, like I said, I respect Magic a lot, and he was one of my favorite players, but there's only going to be one Magic Johnson.
What Hardaway does most like Magic Johnson is use his myriad skills to do whatever it takes to win the ball game. Orlando right back in it.
Spurs with a 69-65 lead. Well, O'Neal rejecting Johnson.
Well, you see what happens when you make him go to his right. He still had to go back and try to use his left hand. And we talked about the improvement of him not getting shots blocked. Well, here, you force him into a tough position, you can block a shot.
Robinson. Anderson stretching for the rebound.
San Antonio's offense is sputtering right now. One of their question marks, do they have that go-to guy who can get you the great shot every time? Right now, they're struggling.
Orlando with a 14-7 run, cutting into that 11-point lead. Scott shaking off Del Negro. And Rodman hustles down, rebound number 18.
2 guys running at Scott that time. He stepped by the first.
Robinson played by Avent. And a handshaking foul on Anthony Avent.
Well, big turnaround in the rebounding in this third quarter. Now Orlando leading 12-8 because they're starting to get more aggressive with it. This time, Dennis Rodman has to do his level best to keep Anthony Avent from getting to the boards as the Magic have come out more aggressive on the backboard.
Rodman's so fundamentally sound in all areas of the game.
Elliott again isolated this time. And the lane closed by Anderson. Del Negro. Fouled by Scott. And Orlando is over the limit.
It's funny how perimeter shooters know each other so well. Everybody wants to run at Dennis Scott, make him put the ball on the floor. Same thing with Vinny Del Negro, who's not as prolific a shooter as Dennis Scott. Doesn't take as many, but he also has a nice touch, a great stroke from out there, but you'd rather see him put the ball on the floor and do something else, although Dennis does not want to pick up a foul in that situation.
I don't like San Antonio's spacing offensively. They're isolating Elliott in one corner, and then they got the big guy, David Robinson, the massive finisher, way out there at the hash mark. Get him in a place where he can be a factor in occupied defense.
And David Robinson is taking too many perimeter jump shots right now. He showed that he had the little jump hook in the lane, but the bread and butter offense for San Antonio in the half court is the pick and roll game. They're going to have to get back to that.
The Spurs lead by 6 as we come up on 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, Bill Walton, Bob Rashad from the Orlando Arena. Shot clock is at 6. Hardaway nearly hit a prayer shot. He knew he was being fouled. And Hardaway will go to the line. Avery Johnson picks up the personal.
Well, this is where that comparison to Magic Johnson is so true. Magic was such a great post player here. Penny is probably one of the best in the league. Not only at the guard position, but maybe he just has all kinds of move in there. But going back to his comments on that little soundbite, the fact that this young man has his head straight. He knows who he is. He knows who Magic Johnson was. He knows Magic did it over the test of time and has 5 championships under his belt.
This whole team has their head on. You don't see the problems that other teams have surfacing on this young Orlando Magic team.
Spurs with a 4-point lead. Now Robinson down low, going to the double team. Robinson couldn't get the step. Shot clock down to 5. Elliott. And the trip by Rodman. Dennis Rodman squeezing his way between 3 members of the Orlando Magic.
And the way he comes out of the pack, isolated, you can't keep your eyes off him, then runs right by the opponent's benches. And who else you got over there that can come in and guard him?
3 seconds! Scott lost the dribble, lost the ball. Avery Johnson puts it up to Chuck Person. And the Spurs now lead 75-67.
Not only an unselfish play by Avery Johnson, he is number 8 in the league in assists, but I think he more wanted to get Chuck Person involved. Let him touch the ball, let him get an easy field goal. That'll make those long jumpers a little bit easier.
And Hardaway drills the 3. That's his first from downtown. He has 20 points, 75-70, San Antonio.
Hardaway, like the great ones, like Magic, shoots the most when his team is behind. He's taking over in the offensive end.
Robinson over to set the screen. Now met by O'Neal. Shot clock at 4. It's down to 2. It's down to 1. It's a 24-second violation.
Maybe the best defense by the Magic this afternoon against pick-and-roll situation. Totally took the Spurs out of it, forced the 24-second violation.
A minute 27 remaining in the third. San Antonio leading by 5.
If you try to box out Dennis Rodman in the conventional way by putting your back into him, that's just not going to get the job done. You have to almost play him like an offensive guard in football. Face him, lock up his arms to keep him out of there. That's how he has 19 rebounds. That's how he has 10 points. He just outworks you. He's quicker with his feet. He's just stronger than everybody else on the backboard.
San Antonio substitution, 25.
And Dennis Rodman opening up with 12 rebounds in the first quarter. Did not play much in the second. He's caught it 4 here in the third, so overall 19 rebounds along with 10 points.
Big games like this, Larry Bird used to go up to the coach and say, hey, look, 48 minutes or none, it's your choice. Yes. What do you want? Bird would play the whole game.
A lot of players would say that.
He could deliver.
In fact, Matt used to say that.
Yeah. 48 minutes sitting there.
O'Neal to Hardaway, and a foul is called. It's on Person. So Shaquille will head to the line with just 4 of 7.
Oh, Penny Hardaway always knows where Shaquille is going on the roll here. He has David Robinson right in his face, so he knows Shaq is rolling. Shaq taking it hard, and Chuck Person with the hard foul to make sure there's no three-point play opportunity, and then a little extracurricular bumping afterwards.
Shaquille is 55% from the line this season, so he's now 5 of 8 today. Orlando is last in free throw shooting at 68% for the season at the line. 75-72. The Orlando Magic trailing by as many as 11 and cut within 3.
Doc Rivers has got to have a solid session of minutes right now for San Antonio.
And a foul is called, offensive foul. Away from the ball, called on Sean Elliott.
And the offensive execution in the half court continue to bother the Spurs. They're just not executing well, as you clearly saw Sean Elliott move on that attempted pick.
Just under a minute remaining in the third. Shaw and Hardaway now the guards. O'Neal, Avent, Anderson up front, Brian Shaw. Rebounded by David Robinson.
Post up Person.
Robinson has not been hitting the outside shot. Rodman kept it alive, and then Jack Neese with a loose ball foul on Rodman. That is his fourth. And Rodman, pointing at the official, first applauded the call and now discusses it with Jack Neese.
In the past, Rodman would get very upset here, calm as can be. 4 fouls for a guy that has as much contact as the base of his game, and working along the baseline. That wasn't the foul. The foul is hard to detect.
That's why he was talking with Jack Neese in such a calm way. You're right, Bill. In the past, Dennis Rodman may do something a little bit different to maybe draw a technical or get his team out of sorts. Wisely just made it quietly known to the official. He didn't think it was a foul, but you also saw him in the lane. Dennis Rodman does an excellent job of cheating in the lane. By that, I mean he'll get in there 7-8 seconds, never really gets out. That makes it so much more difficult for the guy who has the responsibility of trying to get a body on him.
Kent Turner checking back in, replacing Shaquille O'Neal, who just went to the sideline and holding the left knee. 22 points for Shaquille. Here's pressure from Hardaway. Rivers handles it, eluding Avent with 20 seconds to go in the third. The San Antonio lead is now only 1. There is a 3-second differential between the game clock and the 24. Down to 5 on the 24. Rivers through the foul. It's on Shaw. Orlando over the foul limit, and that will send Doc Rivers to the line.
Doc Rivers just lost the ball on the way to the hoop. Brian Shaw's got a legitimate complaint, though. The biggest concern here in Orlando, as their trainer Lenny comes out and rubs the hurt no more on Shaq's knees, is he going to be okay for the fourth?
The hurt no more being handled by trainer Len Courier. Here's J.R. Reed replacing Dennis Rodman.
Bob Hill was telling us yesterday how pleased he is with what Doc Rivers has brought to this team in mental toughness, maturity. His shot from the perimeter is erratic right now, but his defense has been tough. And you saw there, not really confidence with his outside shot, and will try to get to the basket when he can.
Pressure by the Spurs. Final seconds of the third. Hardaway for 3. Yes! 2 seconds to go in the third. Hardaway's tied the game at 77. Here's Rivers playing. 3 quarters complete here in Orlando. The Magic, trailing most of the way, down by as many as 11, have tied the game at 77 on this shot by Penny Hardaway from 3-point land. And Hardaway with a huge third quarter. 23 points in all. 12 of the 23 here in the third. We'll be back after a word from your local station. Welcome back to Orlando, where the Magic have turned it around in the third quarter. They outscore the Spurs in the third to tie the game at 77. A good run by Orlando, 26-15 to erase that 11-point lead. A look at the Western Conference race. San Antonio 3 games behind Phoenix and 2.5 behind Utah. The San Antonio Spurs at 41-17, and they're the hottest team in the league. They've won 19 of their last 22 games.
And a big game coming up for Phoenix this coming Thursday at Charlotte. We'll have to see how Kevin Johnson and Zeke will be seen on TBS. Why does nobody talk about Utah? There they are with only 16 losses. Karl Malone, Jeff Hornacek, and Stockton having great years.
But Utah doesn't draw attention to themselves. They're just a solid team that wins a lot of games. Karl Malone anchoring. Get great play in Utah from Antoine Carr and Adam Keefe.
Fourth quarter underway. And as you can see, there are folks here in Orlando who are anticipating the return of one Michael Jordan.
I think equally as big a concern, though, is the injury of Kevin Johnson in Phoenix, going down with the groin injury that Matt talked about a minute ago. He was playing terrific ball. Without him, they're a different ball club.
Terry Cummings picks up the foul, his 4th, so 4-piece on Rodman and Cummings. Ryan Hill has Tree Rollins now starting the 4th quarter. Tree played briefly in the first half. Foul is called as Anderson made the spin move.
Foul number 45, Chuck Person.
Chuck Person called for the foul, his 2nd. And a reminder, next Sunday afternoon, it will be the Chicago Bulls, led by Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, and maybe, against the Indiana Pacers at Market Square in Indianapolis. Tip-off time, it's a special time at 12 noon Eastern. Here's Hardaway, turn back. Good play defensively by the Spurs. Del Negro from the covenant, but it's picked off by Shaw. Has Hardaway. Orlando has taken a 79-77 lead.
San Antonio got very tentative offensively. Robinson not attacking on the bench right now. Rodman with 4 fouls, and Avery Johnson nowhere to be seen as Doc Rivers is in control now.
Here's Person. Person. 7 points for Chuck. That's not one of the normal shots you'll see from the Chuck Person repertoire.
But nobody out on the floor for San Antonio that can make things happen. They're all on the bench.
Wild shot by Hardaway. Off the scramble. They will jump it up.
You know it's a big game when guys are going to the floor, but the defense for Orlando so solid. Brian Shaw been ineffective offensively of late in terms of scoring, but he can do it so many ways for Brian Hill.
Well, one of the reasons why both of these teams are good and have such good records is they take advantage of their opponent's mistakes. They have that ability to quick strike. We've seen it a number of times this afternoon.
Well, J.R. Reed and Tree Rollins with a discussion about geographical space.
The offensive man gets first choice of position right there. He gets as wide a spread as he wants.
And they'll do that again. That's a toss that Jack Neese would like to do over.
I thought Shaq and David Robinson were jumping.
Chuck Person very unhappy with the hand-checking of Anthony Hardaway and slapped at him. Hardaway was trying to tug from behind. It's controlled by Rivers. Minute and a half gone by in the 4th quarter. Magic and the Spurs are tied at 79. A matchup of the team with the best record in the NBA in Orlando and the hottest team in the league in San Antonio. And a foul is called on Hardaway.
On this attempted jump ball, Penny Hardaway standing behind Person, starting to slap each other's hand. Remember a couple of years ago when Chuck Person and Larry Bird used to get involved, a lot of trash talking in the playoffs. It seems that Chuck has toned that down. He's reactivating it again today.
Foul on Hardaway, his 3rd. Rivers from deep, coming up short.
Not good offensive execution for San Antonio. They need Avery Johnson and David Robinson.
Hardaway on the break. 27 Penny Hardaway has taken over offensively. Person, Cummings, and a new 24 for the Spurs. Looked like Anderson hurt his left wrist. Trying to hang in, though. And here comes Anderson. Shaw for Hardaway. Overthrows, but it's saved. Anderson. Yes! The Magic leads by 4. San Antonio wants to talk it over. What a play by Hardaway on the overthrown pass to get it to Anderson, who was obviously in pain, holding the wrist. You are watching the NBA on NBC.
Miller Genuine Draft presents Genuine Moments.
Today's Miller Genuine Draft Genuine Moment goes back to 1960, the Philadelphia Warriors versus the Boston Celtics, a game that saw Wilt Chamberlain haul in an NBA record 55 rebounds. That record still stands today. Dennis Rodman had his finest rebound performance in 1992 as a member of the Pistons. He had 34 in a game against Indiana. Rodman, the league's top rebounder that season, averaging close to 19 boards a game. In recognition of that moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. So Rodman with 19 rebounds, sitting it out right here after collecting his 4th foul. He had 12 of the 19 in the first quarter. Did not play much in the second quarter, then came on again in the third. And the Magic have come on, led by Penny Hardaway. They lead by 4 points. Here's David Robinson. And Shaquille O'Neal is back on the floor. Robinson with 22 points. O'Neal with 22 points. Shaw and Hardaway in the backcourt. Anderson up front with O'Neal and Turner. And Anderson posting up on Person. Nick Anderson pushed on the play, and he'll go to the line.
Well, this used to be a big play for Nick Anderson before the Shaquille O'Neal era. Lots of post-ups, but you normally did it with players the same size. They would do this against a Vinny Del Negro, but this is against a taller Chuck Person, and he's just able to escape and get that fortunate shot off as he was stripped down low.
He just threw that up. Orlando rolling right now. Anderson, Hardaway, and O'Neal in control.
The Magic 86, the Spurs 81. Avery Johnson, who's had an outstanding game, is back on the floor. He and Del Negro at the guards. Robinson, Person, and Reed up front. Knocked away by O'Neal. 6 on the shot clock. Remember, Shaquille O'Neal lifetime against David Robinson and the Spurs coming into today 0-5, and San Antonio won the earlier meeting at the Alamo Dome some 10 days ago. 8:35 to go in this 4th quarter, and the Magic leading by 5. Shot clock is down at 2. The block by Shaw, and then a foul is called. Or is it a 24-second violation? Apparently a violation, and the ball goes back to the Magic.
Dennis Rodman just put his shoes back on to the rescue for the Spurs. He's got to get the crowd out of the game, though. He's got to bring that attention to himself, not let them cheer on Hardaway and Anderson in particular.
One of the reasons why the Magic are the team with the best record in the league. They are not as consistent a defensive team as Brian Hill would like, but they have the ability of all great teams. They can play defense in spurts, and usually that spurt is enough to put them over the top. They're in one right now.
And that's the third 24-second violation incurred by the Spurs. Again, Anderson posting up, and he draws the foul. Reed coming over to help, and he is called for his third, so Nick Anderson will go to the line. And Orlando, 16 of 20 from the foul line, which is top-notch for a team that is at the bottom of the free throw shooting rankings.
Nick Anderson is playing with a chipped bone in that left wrist. He hurt it about 3 months ago and gets whacked every now and then on it. Planning on having surgery to repair that in the offseason, but has no impact on his dominant post-up game right now.
And you always prefer to be the team that gets the other team in foul trouble in the 4th quarter. Now, the Spurs are over the limit with their 4th team foul with 8:17 to go in the 4th quarter, meaning that every time the Magic go to the basket, get fouled, they're going to shoot free throws. Big advantage.
San Antonio, they need to do something creative offensively. They've been going one-on-one off the dribble all the time. They got to spread the floor and get Avery Johnson back in control of this game.
Robinson who took a hard shot from O'Neal. That is number 3 on Shaquille O'Neal.
All set up with the quick penetration of Avery Johnson. Forced to his right, not really able to finish the shot there, looking to be a passer. He found the flashing David Robinson, and Shaq did to the others what he's always done unto him, the hard foul to keep him from getting a dunk.
Robinson, 5 of 6 from the line. He has 23 points, along with 11 rebounds. San Antonio has been a very strong road team, 18 and 10 for the season, and they've won 17 of the last 23 on the road.
They're making a huge push in the Western Conference. Phoenix with 15 losses, Utah with 16, San Antonio 17, down to the wire in the West.
Orlando with a 5-point lead. Hardaway to the spin. O'Neal stripped. Good play by Robinson. Crowd wanted to travel on Avery Johnson. Rodman on the recovery. Here's a three-point attempt by Johnson. Turner and Rodman battle. Last touch by Turner.
And Rodman giving Jeff Turner a little pat on the back saying, hey, you showed me something there, Jeff. You battled me as hard as anybody. Give Jeff Turner a lot of credit coming back from knee surgery and giving you everything he's got. He just does not have the same kind of athletic ability as Dennis Rodman.
Rodman on a pogo stick. 4 jumps that time for that ball.
7.5 remaining in the 4th quarter. Robinson with the ball fake and foul. He got the step, and that is number 4 on O'Neal.
This is what you want to do against Shaq. This is what guys like Dave Cowens used to do against Wilt. He would come out, put him on the floor, face him up, use the good foot speed, take advantage of your quickness.
And there is Dave Cowens, Hall of Famer and assistant coach, along with Paul Pressey and Hank Egan on Bob Hill's staff. Man who helped the Celtics to 2 NBA championships in '74 and '76, and looks to be in excellent shape there.
I think that Dave Cowens is gearing himself up to come in and be the backup center for the Spurs in the playoffs. He's coming out, he's training, lifting weights. Dave Cowens would be ideal at 46 years old.
Whoa! Ideal at 46 years of age.
All young players should watch how Cowens used to beat Wilt and Jabbar.
Hardaway! And the Magic leading 90-84. I know you're serious about this, too.
Very serious.
Let's see, Bob Cousy, I recall, retired back in '60. Now, I'm not suggesting that Cousy's coming back. I mean, Bob doing a fine job broadcasting Boston Celtic games with Tommy Heinsohn. But as an example, he came back in the '69-70 season at 42 years of age and played 7 games for the old Cincinnati Royals. Timeout is taken. We'll get back to that subject a little bit later on. 6:38 remaining in the 4th. Guys, a moment ago we were talking about 46-year-old assistant coach Dave Cowens of the San Antonio Spurs, looking very svelte out here earlier today, as he has been doing right throughout before Spurs games, showing us the little jump hook.
His wife is adamantly opposed to it, serious concerns about injuries.
But Dave Cowens knows how hard it is to win a championship. You got to put everything on the line that the whole franchise has for that one chance to win. That might be the key with Moses Malone out with the injured foot.
Cowens retired from the Celtics back in 1980, and remember, he did come back for a spell in '83 with the Bucks. That was 12 years ago. He was 34 years old at that time. Here's Hardaway with a shot clock running down, and Rodman with the rebound. That is number 20. Here's Elliott spinning his way. Short Elliott And the Magic now leading 90 to 88. 6 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. San Antonio had led most of the way, leading by as many as 11. Hardaway exploding in the third quarter, and the Magic turning it here in the fourth. Shaquille O'Neal coming up short. Robinson got a piece of it. Shaw not able to hit, and a loose ball foul. That won't count. That was out of anger by Shaquille. Loose ball foul called on Anderson, and that is his fourth.
Dennis Rodman has the habit of tipping the ball to himself, but with as many big guards as Orlando has, particularly Hardaway and Anderson, who come over the top for those long rebounds, he needs to snatch that ball and not tip it to himself, because Orlando's getting too many of those taps.
And now Hugh Evans with the call and an explanation. Chatting with Turner. Turner committing his fourth. And the Magic over the limit. Robinson will go to the line.
Well, interesting little move there by Brian Hill, putting Jeff Turner on David Robinson. Shaq does have 4 fouls. Normally at this time of the game, the Spurs like to run a lot of pick and roll situations, which means that Jeff Turner would trap, and that would enable Shaquille O'Neal to come over and pick up Robinson on some kind of a rolling type play, but there's no way Jeff Turner can keep David Robinson from scoring inside.
And Robinson has tied the game at 90. Just under 6 minutes remaining in the fourth. Ryan Shaw handling against Avery Johnson. Open shot for Turner, yes! Jeff Turner with his second field goal, and the Magic leads by 2.
That's what Jeff Turner can do for you. Stay out on the perimeter, draw a big man away, knock down that shot, and create passing and driving lanes for his teammates.
Person's pass off the mark, and Orlando will take over.
Brian Hill, realizing that offense is the key down the stretch here, is going with Jeff Turner instead of Avent.
4 fouls apiece on O'Neal, Turner, and Anderson. Shaquille O'Neal getting down deep. He got great position on Robinson.
Brian Hill working with Shaq to take that extra dribble to get as deep as he can. Position so crucial. No one knew that better than Jabbar and McHale.
Orlando by 4. Just under 5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Here's Johnson. Forced the issue. Kept it on by Rodman. And rebounded by Shaw.
San Antonio, poor management of the shot clock.
They continue to struggle in terms of getting shots up. They've been called for 3 24-second violations. And pass. And the ball back to the Spurs.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal showing some patience here. He hasn't had a lot of good inside due to the good defense of David Robinson. Shaq just worked and worked and powered his way through.
Welcome back to Orlando, Florida. Marv Albert, Matt Dukas, Bill Walton, and Ahmad Rashad. 4:22 to go in this fourth quarter, and it's Orlando with a 94-90 lead on the Spurs. Shaquille O'Neal with 24 points, but has not had one of his overpowering performances. And David Robinson, 10 of 17 from the field, 9 of 11 from the line. David Robinson with 29 points along with 12 rebounds. We come up on 4 minutes remaining. Inside, uncontested. And it cuts into a 2-point Magic lead.
That's what I mean. There's just no way Jeff Turner can keep David Robinson from getting excellent position. Actually, David got away with a little shuffle after he caught that ball.
They're not calling anything down the stretch of this game.
Anderson playing with the deflection. Well, Nick Anderson has caught fire here in the fourth quarter. He now has 17. Orlando with a 96-92 lead.
Get the ball to David Robinson every time down the court. He's got to be the man. He's your big finisher.
Elliott. Clutch shot by Sean Elliott, who had the game winner the other night. 14 for Elliott. And the Magic up by 2. 3:20 to go in the fourth. Hardaway stopped by Elliott. Illegal defense call for the first time.
Every time Penny Hardaway comes off that screen roll situation with Shaq, he's looking to clear the pick, get into the lane, always keeping that left eye on where Shaq is. He'd love to deliver and get a power dunk. If he doesn't have that, he's looking to the shooters out on the other side.
I would turn that pick baseline, force Hardaway down, and have him play one-on-one against Elliott along that baseline. Not give Shaq this deep post step in.
And here's the double team, helping out. Robinson able to knock it away. Timeout situation, San Antonio 2 and a 20. Orlando with 4 and a 20 remaining. We're down to 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. In this fourth quarter, a holding foul is called on Turner. That is number 5 for Jeff Turner.
Here's Shaq putting that left shoulder into the chest of David Robinson. That cannot be a happy occasion. David Robinson really has done a terrific job.
But these guys who have to guard Shaq, they must have bruised breastplates after the game, the way he lowers that shoulder, uses it as a battering ram to get to the hoop.
David Robinson now 9 for 12 at the line. Orlando by 2. San Antonio led by as many as 11. It is a 1-point game. Ryan Shaw logging much playing time here today in the backcourt along with Penny Hardaway. Hardaway off the dribble. Shot clock at 7. Hardaway trying to find O'Neal. Shot clock is at 2. Anderson. Three-pointer for Nick Anderson, who is on fire. He now has 20, and the Magic leads 99-94. We come up on 2 minutes remaining. Fourth quarter, Robinson from the outside.
2 minutes.
David Robinson with 34 points. He's had an outstanding game. 2-point Orlando lead and a foul on Person.
Well, free throws going to be so important coming down the stretch of this ballgame. Both teams were in the penalty halfway through this quarter. See David Robinson miss a couple. He is a 70% free throw shooter. We haven't seen Shaq go to the line in the last few minutes. Big free throws coming up here for Nick Anderson, who has really picked up the scoring while Dennis Scott sits on the bench.
Well, Scott only 7 points on 3 of 13 from the field. Anderson has hit his last 4 shots at the free throw line. He is a 72% shooter, and he's 3 of 4 here today. 1 minute and 52 to go in the fourth. The Magic 100, the Spurs 97.
The greatness of Orlando's individual offensive players forcing San Antonio to scramble and foul on defense.
Robinson, Elliott for 3. Kept alive momentarily by Rodman, and then countered by Anderson.
David Robinson, while Rodman was in, pounding David Robinson, fatigued, drifting back softly on defense.
Orlando with the ball, playing the clock a bit here with a 3-point lead. Shot clock at 5. It's down to 3. Hardaway from Shaw. Beautifully executed between Brian Shaw and Penny Hardaway, and San Antonio calling for time. 1 minute 10 left. Fourth quarter, the Magic 102 and the Spurs 97. Here's that baseline feed for the cutting Hardaway. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
Big defensive sequence coming up for the Magic. They know the go-to players are David Robinson and Sean Elliott. They want to keep them on the perimeter, not get beat with penetration. And Jeff Turner is going to have to face guard Dennis Rodman and keep him off the glass. At the other end, they want to make sure they get a good shot.
But in this situation, you think you got the game won with a 5-point lead. Your defense is soft. You can get to the hoop for the quick score. If not, penetrate, spread the floor, and find 3-point shooters for San Antonio, primarily Chuck Person, quite possibly Sean Elliott.
Nick Anderson and Anthony Hardaway have been the story for the Magic here on the fourth. Elliott gets to the hoop, yes, and it counts. And Sean will go to the line. He's cut it to a 3-point Orlando lead.
And the clock stops. They get set their defense here. Make a strategy. Free throws so clutch here.
Well, there again, you're letting a predominantly right-hand player. We mentioned earlier that Sean has improved his ability to go left, but you cannot let him go right in that. You've got to keep your body in front of him and force a jump shot.
But Elliott missed the free throw. We come up on 1 minute remaining on the fourth. The Magic in possession. They lead by 3 points. Ryan Shaw, who's had a very strong game handling against Avery Johnson, working the clock down. Down to 5 on the shot clock. Down to 3. Shaw. The slam follow to give the Magic a 5-point lead, and the Spurs take a timeout. They will have 1 20-second timeout remaining.
With Brian Shaw, shot clock winding down. All he wants to do is turn the corner and not get that shot block because he threw David Robinson, left a clear lane for Shaquille O'Neal to hammer it home.
Avery Johnson not helping out on Shaq, but you see David Robinson going down to defeat for the first time in his career at the hands of Shaq. It won't be the last either. Shaq with a clear edge over almost everyone he's played against in his brief, now 3-year career.
Well, still 40 seconds remaining. Here's Elliott off the dribble again and foul. Shaquille O'Neal coming over looking for the block. Foul is called on Brian Shaw, his 5th.
All ball on the play, maybe a little body underneath it. You couldn't see on that replay, but Shaq playing with the emotion that you love to see from the superstars in the NBA.
Well, Brian Shaw was called down low. Once again, he got beat on penetration. This time, however, he did force Elliott to his weaker hand.
Sean Elliott, one of the better free throw shooters of the NBA, 83% at the line. He is 2 for 3 today. Now Jeff Turner is back. Anthony Bowie had come on for a brief time, so Brian Hill's working the shuttle right now. It's a 4-point Orlando lead with 38 seconds remaining.
And that triangle signal from Brian Hill is get ready for the trap of the Spurs. They got their athletic defenders in now. They have to handle the ball well against this pressure.
And Sean Elliott misses his second free throw. Foul is called.
But solid play by Rodman quickly before any time elapsed off the clock. Yes, he wastes his 5th foul, but you're putting Shaq on the line before he could pass the ball. As good a play as the Spurs could make under the circumstances.
And Shaquille is 5 of 8 at the free throw line. Shaquille O'Neal going out to center court to think about it for a moment. Calm himself down and then hits his first.
Brian Shaw made Shaq stand in the backcourt just to collect himself, to gather himself, just take his time. Shaq has been doing things at both ends of the floor. We'll see if it works on the second one.
Well, Shaquille has done the job at the line here today. And the Magic is up by 6 points. Elliott looking for a 3. Can't find it. Good defensive work by Shaw. 25 seconds remaining. Robinson. And Jack Neese, the outside official, blowing the whistle, and a loose ball foul is called. It's on Jeff Turner. That is his 6th.
Once again, Shaquille O'Neal stepping up to the free throw line in the closing minute of a ball game. He did it on Wednesday night against the Los Angeles Lakers with 4 seconds to give the Magic a 4-point lead. Here's Buzz Brayman, the guy who worked so hard and so long with Shaquille O'Neal, is happy for the big fella.
A couple of the Orlando Magic players trying to bother Dennis Rodman as he walked to the line, and Dennis wanted no part of it, just walked away. Anthony Hardaway in the ear of Dennis Rodman, who was 4 of 4 at the free throw line, but only a 65% shooter.
Well, the ideal situation for the Spurs right now is for Dennis to make the first one and then miss the second one and look to slap it around and either get a putback or a three-point shot opportunity.
To win huge road games like this, guys like Rodman and Robinson have to come through with magnificent performances throughout. They've been solid. Robinson with a lot of points, Rodman 23 boards, but as the game has worn down, they have not been spectacular.
Oh, he misses it on purpose, but didn't hit the rim. Dennis Rodman firing it up, but it has to hit the rim. It went off the glass. So he was trying, obviously, to miss it on purpose, but way off on the attempt.
And he was trying to hit either the front of the rim or the heel of the rim so he could get it back and possibly get a layup and three-point play.
Orlando leads by 5. We'll be back after a word from your local station.
Dennis Rodman well aware of the situation here. However, he can't cross that foul line plane until the ball hits the rim. That's what he was trying to do, and that must have been the play because Robinson and Elliott never made a move. They were leaving that lane clear for Rodman to get his own miss.
With a quick shot, catch everybody while they're thinking he's going to get up there and think about it, take his regular routine, his breaths, his rhythm. Rodman out-thinking him once again.
22 and 2/10 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Double coverage here by Rodman and Robinson on the inbounds by Shaw, and it's picked off by Rivers. And let's see, was he pushed? Hugh Evans blowing the whistle.
And unfortunately for San Antonio, if Doc Rivers could have caught that ball cleanly, David Robinson was headed the other way for a breakaway layup.
Apparently Rivers stepped out.
I don't think I've ever seen this double team with your two giants on the sideline.
Most unusual alignment being utilized here by Bob Hill. He has Robinson and Rodman on the inbounds, and now Orlando will talk it over. I think they want to discuss this.
We'll put Jeff Turner in, have him throw over the top, lob it up to Shaq at the hoop and dunk it.
Jeff is fouled out, but you can try.
Well, here, Doc Rivers had a piece of it, couldn't control it, but the object is, when you have two big men in the sideline, to kind of pogo it, jump at different times to force the turnover.
Welcome back to Orlando. The Magic in a come-from-behind effort leading the Spurs 106-101, 21 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. The Spurs have won most of their close games this season, but they were caught as the Magic has come from an 11-point deficit. You saw the timeouts remaining. San Antonio with only a 20-second timeout left. Orlando has one conventional timeout and a 20. Penny Hardaway with 20 points in the second half to lead the comeback, 20 of his 31, and Nick Anderson with 15 of his 21 in the second half. 13 here in the fourth quarter. He's hit 4 of 4 from the field. Again, the double coverage on the inbound, and Shaw gets it in to Hardaway. And a foul call. Elliott with the rest on Shaw.
Penny Hardaway doing a good job of eluding a very quick-footed David Robinson to just buy a few more seconds, and finally Sean Elliott catching up with Brian Shaw. I think the big problem for the Spurs this afternoon was in the third quarter, their offense just totally went to sleep. The few fast break opportunities that they had, they did not execute well, and their half-court sets were just not crisp, and that enabled the Orlando Magic to feel they could get back into the game. They did and got the crowd involved.
Give the credit to Brian Hill, though, who realized that it was not Dennis Scott's game. Went to Brian Shaw, moved Penny Hardaway and Nick Anderson into the low post, turned the ball handling responsibilities over, and the defense by Shaw on Avery Johnson. Strong at the beginning, quiet down the stretch.
Very impressive game by Brian Shaw for 3. And it's the Magic 108, the Spurs 104, 11 and 6/10 seconds remaining. And the foul is called on Person. So that stops the clock with 10 and 9 seconds remaining. For Person, it is number 4. And again, Brian Shaw to the line. He is 6 of 6 at the free throw line, a 74% foul shooter.
Brian Shaw shooting 2.
Orlando 23 of 28 from the line, which is excellent shooting for a poor shooting team at the foul line.
And the amazing thing, this all accomplished without such a key player for Orlando all season long, Horace Grant, who means so much to their interior defense and their rebounding. The Magic shows why they are a good team, able to pick it up when a key player is down.
And Shaw, perfect at the line, 8 for 8, 110-104. Robinson with 6 seconds, fires for 3 points, rebounded by Hardaway, and that will do it. Win number 48. They're 32-1 at home. They're 48-14. They've won 8 of the last 9. They knock off the hottest team in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs, go to 41-18. Shaquille O'Neal, 28 points and 13 rebounds. Eddie Hardaway, 31 points, 6 assists. And David Robinson finished with 34 points, 12 rebounds. For Dennis Rodman, 23 rebounds. Let's go to Amon.
All right, thanks, Marv. This home court dominance continues. Penny, you guys take this seriously.
Oh, definitely. Now that we've got that one loss out of the way, all the nervousness is gone, and we're just playing free now.
With Horace Grant out of the lineup, you guys all had to step it up, and Nick, you stepped it up big.
Well, that's my game. I like to make the big plays. I like to be involved in everything. But without these guys, none of this would be possible.
Shaq, huge monster dunk there in the fourth quarter. But the first time that you've gotten by San Antonio, is that personal to you?
I was 0-5 against the Admiral, and now I got the monkey off my back, and I'm just glad we got a win.
All right, good luck to you guys, and we will see you further down the line. All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, once again, the final score, the Orlando Magic 110 and the San Antonio Spurs 104. Coming up next here on NBC, the ultimate basketball journey, an NBA special, champions and challengers. For Matt Dukas, Bill Walton, and Ahmad Rashad, I'm Marv Albert. So long from the Orlando Arena. This has been the NBA on NBC.